So, did you know that women are twice as likely as men to develop a major episode of depression or PTSD? Hi, I'm Colette Ellis, founder and creator of Tap with Libbie, and a compelling investment opportunity to disrupt the $2 billion behavioral health market. We help women of color to tap away emotional issues from systemic racism and other personal events. The pandemic is shining a light on the mental health crisis in our nation, but this isn't new. For years, women of color have borne an emotional tax that makes us feel constantly on guard and increases our risk for developing mental health issues. If we're able to overcome the stigma and seek help, we're often misunderstood, given that only 14% of US psychologists may share our racial identity. Although studies show that marginalized groups may prefer virtual or digital care, the large majority of mental wellness apps don't specifically target our needs. Enter Libbie, a chatbot specifically designed for women of color with instant support using emotional freedom technique or tapping. It's simple. Libbie prompts users to tap on acupoints while speaking about emotional issues. The benefits of tapping are proven. In a 5.5-year large-scale study, 90% of patients who tapped, compared to 63% who got cognitive therapy, had reduced anxiety. We know we have a large market in which we can scale. Women of color were 20% of the US population in 2019 and are expected to make up the majority of all women by 2060. And women are 75% more likely to use digital tools for our healthcare needs. So you may have heard the phrase, our issues are in our tissues. That means we store emotions in our bodies. The main differentiating point here is that Libbie encourages a somatic healing approach that includes the body, not just the mind, to help reduce stress and anxiety. Since launching our beta test last month, Libbie has already had hundreds of interactions. We'll continue to acquire users and customers through our social network of over 8,000 followers and collaborations with BIPOC networks. Premium subscribers will be able to book virtual sessions with coaches and therapists for deeper healing. Relationships with inclusive therapists and melanin in mental health will help fill the practitioner marketplace. We'll also leverage relationships to gain corporate clients. I bring over 15 years of experience in the wellness industry. Nick's contribution to build the web-based prototype was crucial to the beta test. My Dartmouth alumni and the DMZ Incubator Black Innovator Network will help us attract diverse talent and build out our team. We've raised to date $4,000 in non-dilutive funding, including a Facebook small business grant for Black-owned businesses. We're raising $200,000 in this round to build the mobile app and execute on strategy. Yes, our issues may be in our tissues, but Libbie helps users to tap them away with a unique digital solution. Will you support us so that more women of color can tap their way to emotional freedom? Thank you.
Thank you, Colette. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the tapping program itself. Now, how many on this app, how many variations of tapping sessions do you have? Because sometimes, if you only have a couple people, after they do it a couple times, they don't want to move forward. So can you just tell me in terms of how your app is actually set up in terms of, and what it offers individuals?
Absolutely. Great question. So this initial MVP, what we're focusing on is what I like to call the quick hit of tapping. So it focuses on individual points based on the emotion. So if you tell Libbie you're feeling anxious, she's going to guide you to tap on your under eye point. If you say that you are feeling confused, she'll tell you to tap on the chin point. So each of the tapping points are connected to emotions. And so that's the current version. We, for MVP like +1, we're thinking that we would include longer rounds of tapping. And then, as I mentioned, for paid subscribers, looking at connecting them with actual practitioners. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Willie, you're on mute. Tisk, tisk.
It was either that or the doorbell. Colette, thank you very much for your presentation. I enjoyed it. Can you go a little more into, how this tapping methodology sets you and your company apart with regards to the methods you're using to improve women's health?
Absolutely. Another great question. So we know that we're not the only mental health chatbot in the marketplace, but focusing on tapping versus most of the other ones focus on what's called CBT or cognitive-based therapy. And so when I mentioned earlier that concept of a somatic approach, which includes healing. So if you think about things like breath work and things like tapping, these are ways that we engage not just our minds, but our bodies in healing. So it has definitely been shown that that can be more helpful. That's not to say that anything against CBT. It's actually a way of including things like neurolinguistic programming, energy work, because you're actually speaking about your issue as you tap it. And when I work with clients individually, they tell me that sense of not only talking about the issue and then tapping on it, they really start to feel the change because it changes your energy systems. These are meridians, without getting into too much detail. So you can really feel the difference. And that study that I mentioned, for many people, after just 3 tapping sessions, they started to notice that difference in their stress and anxiety.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question around the treatment or the functionality. Is it a holistic program or regimen that you adhere to, or is it directly in response to an event or a circumstance someone is experiencing?
Great.
So
another question.
Point in time, or is it a program or a regimen that you follow?
Actually, it can be both. So what we're doing with Libbie is, again, as I mentioned, this sense of quick hit. We're all bringing the workplace into our homes, right, on Zoom. So something happens on that last Zoom call, you need to tap through that issue, right? So Libbie can be that quick hit of tapping. When sessions are with other practitioners or coaches or therapists, right, then you have that opportunity to dive deeper. That was when I mentioned about deeper healing. When I'm doing a tapping session with a client, I ask a number of questions. What happened? What does this remind you of? When have you felt like this before? And we use those responses as the actual tapping script. So again, with later versions of Libbie, we'll be able to replicate some of that. And then for the full deeper healing, it will be referring people to practitioners.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Vote for your favorite pitch by visiting www.sheraise.com. Select a city, enter the donation for the pitches you love, and don't forget to leave feedback and/or hype comments for our founders.